Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello, I'm Colonie Town Judge Peter Crummey, and welcome to Benchmark. We'll explore a variety of issues involving our legal system and our court system and how they interact and intersect with the citizens of the town of Colonie. The Colonie Town Justice Court handles approximately 24,000 cases per year. Obviously, many people and many agencies are part of its court administration, including the internationally recognized Colonie Youth Court. Today, we're very fortunate to have Colonie Youth Court Executive Director Violet Colydas and also Kaizad Irani, a Shaker High School senior and member of the Youth Court, with us to discuss the Colonie Youth Court. And welcome and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Violet, it's always nice to see you, and Kaizad, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
And if I might start with you, Violet, would you be kind enough to tell our viewers a little about yourself and your background here in the town of Colonie?
Sure. I was actually born and raised here in the town of Colonie, and I attended Shaker High School, and I went on to college at Russell Sage, where I received my Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice.
Fantastic. And how did you then come to be involved in the Colonie Youth Court?
My senior year of college, I was offered an opportunity to do an internship with the Youth Court program in Colonie, and I accepted it. During the fall and spring semester, I performed approximately 400 hours of internship, which then created a part-time position for me with the Youth Court program. And 1 year into it, I was offered the full-time director position.
And how long have you therefore been involved with the Colonie Youth Court?
It's been 11 years now.
Why don't you tell the viewers something about the significant efforts of the Colonie Youth Court since you've been executive director?
Well, the Colonie Youth Court program is an early intervention diversion program for teenagers who have been arrested for the very first time. And one of our main goals is to reduce juvenile crime amongst teenagers. And the program itself serves 3 different populations. We have our youth court members, our jurors, and our offenders.
And how do you get participants into the program?
Okay, well, our offender population has to meet certain criteria to include that they're under the age of 18, has to be their first time offending, they have to have committed either a misdemeanor or a violation, and they also have to admit guilt in youth court, because we're not a court that's going to determine their guilt or innocence. We actually present them with a sentencing hearing. Our youth court member population also has to meet certain requirements as well. They also have to be town residents in grades 9 through 12 in high school and undergo an 8-week law-related training program each fall that we put on. And our juror population are actually grades 7 through 12, so we do go a little bit lower into the middle school age population. And they basically don't have to go through any kind of training. They just come in and volunteer their time on a night that we have youth court cases, listen to a case, deliberate, and decide punishment for the person.
So how many high school students will you have enrolled in your program on any given year?
Well, on any given year, we could probably have about 125 youth court members. We also have about 300 jurors that are registered for jury duty. And we also accept, on average, between 80 and 90 cases per year. So several hundred students actually are involved in the program annually.
How many defendants or offenders are sent to the youth court for a disposition?
Approximately 80 to 90 cases per year that we handle are sent to the youth court program.
And how do you get those cases?
They can be referred to us a variety of ways. Our 15 and under, our juvenile population, is referred directly from our Colonie police officers, and our 16 and over population is referred from the town justice department. We also do accept cases that are referred to us directly from North and South Colonie School District as well, but I'd have to say 99% are from the police officers and from the justice department.
And how many cases has the Colonie Youth Court handled to this point in time?
Well, we actually just reached our 1,000th case last week, and of those, we've only had 15 defendants who unsuccessfully did not complete the program successfully. So we had 99% completion rate.
Well, that's certainly evidence of the success of the program. As you know, at the outset of the show, I mentioned that that the Colonie Youth Court is internationally recognized. And why don't you tell the Colonie residents a little bit about the recognition that the Colonie Youth Court has received as a model youth court?
Sure, sure. We've actually been published in a variety of magazines and been on some news shows as well. Back in 2002, we had a couple of people from Germany come and visit us, and we filmed a 30-minute documentary which was aired on public and French television. And we received some international exposure at that point, which spurred Time magazine to contact us a couple of summers ago. So we were featured in the July issue 2005 of Time magazine. And we also were featured on the Fox News national channel with the Shepard Smith show. And we're also filmed by the CBS Evening News as well. So we've had a great bit of success, which led up to last fall, in October of 2006, we had the First Lady Laura Bush come and visit our program and get to watch a mock trial that our youth court members presented for her.
And wasn't it true that after the First Lady's visit, that on the cover page of the website of the White House website was a big picture of the youth court in action at the time that the First Lady was present?
Yes, yes, it was very exciting. We were on the homepage of the White House and the local newspapers and so forth. It was a very exciting time for us.
Well, it seems to be coming along, and we're so very fortunate too to have Shaker High School senior Kaizad Irani here with us today, and welcome as well. And I guess that makes three of us that have gone to Shaker High School here. I'm surprised that you two didn't see me in the hallways recently. But nonetheless, Kaizad, tell me how you got involved in the Colonie Youth Court.
Okay. I've always been interested in law, and I was walking down my hall, and I saw a big flyer that said, "Youth Court Training. Are you interested in law? Do you want to know how it happens?" You know. So I called the number. I spoke to Violet. She said, "Just come half an hour early, 6 o'clock on a Thursday." I showed up, and that began my training. And I would go every Thursday for a training course, and there they'd teach me what to do, how the whole system runs, and how my role was going to benefit the community.
And tell me how long you've been involved now.
Well, I started young. I started in 9th grade, and now I'm going to be a senior, so it's going to be 4 years at the end of this year, and I'll be graduating.
Tell me, Kaizad, what roles do you play as a member of Colonie Youth Court?
Well, there are 6 roles: the judge, the clerk, the prosecution, the defense, the jury foreperson, and now a new role, the victim advocate.
And all of these roles are performed by high school students, is that correct?
Absolutely.
All right. And so tell me about what each person would be doing in those roles.
Well, the judge, as you know, he would mediate the case. He lays down what youth court is for and really lets the defendant know why you are here and what this means. Now, the clerk is there for the filing, make sure every paper gets signed and swearing in the witnesses. Then there's the prosecution and the defense. The prosecution is going to be talking to the jury, which lets them know what the defendant did wrong and how they need to be reprimanded, while the defense is going to say that this is just a member of our community and he's learned his lesson and he's ready to become a viable citizen. And then there's a jury foreperson. As you know, this entire thing is run by youths. So these jurors, they are going to be led by a jury foreperson in a mediating room where he's going to tell them what did they think of it and how do you think that this defendant can be better suited for the community with the service hours.
Now, we've heard Violet tell us that of the 1,000 cases that have been handled through the Colonie Youth Court, merely 15 cases were not completed successfully. Do you find in your own experience that it has been very successful for those who have been sent to the court to have their case disposed of through your court system?
Well, absolutely. I mean, she's telling you 15 out of 1,000. That's 99%. That's overwhelmingly excellent, you know? And I know through firsthand experience, I've actually seen children in my school who've been caught, who've been arrested, And then they go through youth court, they see the experience, they know how much they can do, and the whole cycle goes through where in the beginning they're being the defendant, being observed by a jury. And by the end of it, because it's required that each defendant is led through the jury process at the end, that's a required 2 hours of youth court sentencing. By that time, they realize, hey, I can join this, I can do this. And I've actually seen some of my friends who, in the end, from being arrested, they are now in youth court serving the community.
So they can, oftentimes many of the offenders who have been referred to the Colonie Youth Court not only served out their sentence in connection with the offense for which they were sent to the youth court, but also continued to participate in other roles as well. Do you feel that those students who do make up the majority of the positions in youth court, who haven't been sent there through the court system or the criminal justice system, but have just volunteered through their schools to participate, do you think that those students have also benefited by seeing what can happen to others who do get engaged in the criminal justice system, and it becomes possibly a deterrent for them in not choosing to offend in any way?
Yeah, I can tell you from firsthand experience that by being in youth court, I'm seeing this whole thing unfold in front of me, you know? I'm in the inside workings, so I really know what's going on. And I realize that when you do commit a crime, there are consequences to be paid. And by being in youth court, I know what those are, and therefore it's a huge deterrent.
Violet, obviously the youth court works with cases that have been sent to the youth court for disposition. I'm sure the citizens would like to know, though, what characteristics, what type of cases are typically sent, and also what are the requirements for participation. Maybe not everyone qualifies either, and maybe you could help us out and let us know what that's about.
Sure. Basically, the number one crime that youth court handles is shoplifting. That makes up about 70% of our cases. The next biggest category is unlawful possession of marijuana, which is only about 15%. And the remainder is composed of cases of criminal mischief, alcohol possession. We do handle some traffic-related cases as well, assaults, vandalism, and so forth, trespassing. But the number one crime that we continue to see through Colonie Youth Court is shoplifting. And basically our offenders would have to meet that criteria. They'd have to be first-timers. They'd have to have committed either a misdemeanor or a violation. So we don't handle felony cases of nature. And once they have agreed to go through this youth court process and have agreed to admit their guilt and take responsibility, then they go through the process that Kaizad explained, where they're called up to the stand as witnesses, and the prosecution and defense present opening and closing statements and so forth.
Well, have you ever tracked the rate of recidivism? Meaning, have you ever have any of your graduates actually returned back into the criminal justice system, or is there any way of checking?
It is very rare that we do see some people come through the system. I'd have to say each year we put on an informal survey that we mail out to our previous year's cases. And it's basically a satisfaction survey asking them how they like the program, if they have any suggestions for changes or whatnot. And there is a question on there that asks if they have been arrested again after completing the youth court program. And we do find that a very large percentage of them are not arrested again after completing the program. Nationally, it's believed to be less than 10% in the country for youth courts. In Colonie, I believe it's less than 5%.
Kaizad, you've seen a variety of cases in all of the roles. Have you played a part in every role? How many roles are there? There's six roles.
There are 6 roles, yeah.
And have you served in all of those roles?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been here since 9th grade, so I mean, I have 4 years of experience under my belt. I've been through a lot of rotations, and yeah, I've played every single role.
Well, tell me this then. What would a typical sentence be for an offender through the youth court?
Well, after the trial is over, on average, community service hours are definitely what we're aiming for, and 30 hours seems to be the average, 30 to 35, depending on what the defendant has actually done. And then after that, they usually request restitution if it's a crime, you know, or they would ask for an apology letter to be written to anyone who's been directly impacted by what they've done. So they really understand that they're making up for their deeds. They're saying sorry. They're ready to move on.
Now, during the trial, and you've no doubt also served as a judge in youth court trials, does the offender have to testify as to what they did and admit their guilt before the jury?
Youth court isn't here to admit or to figure out if you're guilty or not.
All right.
What youth court does is, after the defendant has pled their guilt in front of a judge, they come into youth court for sentencing.
Right.
So we definitely encourage, I believe it's mandatory actually, for the defendant to come up onto stand and tell a jury of his peers what he's done and how he feels because of it. And I always know the defense asks that question at the end, is there anything else you'd like to tell the jury? And the defendant always says, yes, I'm sorry, because they realize what they've done.
Are there times when defense counsel, in the face of sentencing, attempts to sway the judge and the jury to have a more lenient sentence based on some particular fact pattern that's before them? Does that happen, or
I mean,
not?
Youth court isn't here so that somebody can get off with a few hours. No, the point is to find a remedy. We're not here to punish. We're here to reprimand and to make them, basically to rehabilitate them. Put them back into the community as somebody who wants to help it.
Now, are the students who participate told that they must keep the actions of the youth court confidential?
Yeah, absolutely. There's confidentiality.
How does that work?
Well, as the trial goes on, everyone there, it's just like, it's very serious, it's confidential. After the case is over, we don't want you talking around, it can be embarrassing. Some of these kids have made mistakes that they don't want to hear about, They've learned from their mistake, and don't talk about it because it means a lot to the person who's committed this crime. It's a serious thing.
Violet, what else would you like to tell us about the youth court? There's so many different avenues, and as you embark onto a new school year, there may be some recruitment efforts by your department, and why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. We're actually going to kick off our 14th year of training in 2 weeks. On September 13th is our first night, and it's the law-related education program that we offer to potential youth court members each fall. The training sessions last for 8 weeks, and there are actually 9 trainings within those 8 weeks. They will be held for 8 Thursday nights from 6:45 until 9 p.m. And then we also finish off with mock trials on a Saturday session from 9 to 3. So it's approximately 20 to 25 hours of law-related education training that we put on for the new class of members that come in each year. And the students, in order just to qualify for the training program, they have to be a Town of Colonie resident. They can go to Shaker High School, Colonie High School, or actually private schools as long as they reside in the Town of Colonie. And they have to attend all the training sessions and be in grades 9, 10th, or 11th to join the training program. And once they complete the training for youth court, we actually provide a graduation for them in late fall, and then they take their first case January of next year.
Now, I've been to a number of your graduation ceremonies, and it seems to be very well attended. How many will you typically graduate?
In a typical training class, we fluctuate every year. We could have anywhere from 40 to 60 students that have just been trained as new members. But also our graduation ceremonies, we do want to acknowledge the hard work of our first, second, and third year returning students. So when we group them all together, there's easily over 120.
Now, Kaizad has told us, of course, that he's in his 4th year. Do you find that often routine, or is a 1-year cycle typically the average cycle for any high school participant?
We actually find that many of our youth court members stay on right through graduation of high school. We do ask that they do make a 1-year minimum voluntary commitment. However, each year a large percentage of our members do renew their membership until they graduate.
Now, it does demand that the high school student come to the Colonie Courthouse. Is it once a week?
We generally hear cases almost every Thursday evening in the Public Safety Center at Colonie, and the students do appear there to present their cases in the small courtroom.
So they need transportation to and from the court.
Yes.
Is that correct? And
Yes.
so would offenders as well, correct?
Yes, that's
They have to
exactly
be there.
correct.
And what else, what other requirements would there be of a high school student who was considering becoming part of the Colonie Youth Court?
Well, aside from the very intensive training program that we put on in the fall, they will be expected to perform a case on average once every 4 to 6 weeks once they're assigned to a team of 6 members. And that team will be composed of members who are brand new coming out of the training class. They'll also be mixed in with first, second, and third year members as well, so they can help each other with their cases on their team. But on average, they receive a case once every 4 to 6 weeks. So the commitment once they're a member isn't as tough of a commitment as that intensive training program that we put on. That program itself is composed of about 20 or so speakers that volunteer to come in, and those speakers are anywhere from the local colleges to the Justice Department, the police officials, family court. We also have people come in and talk about the overview of the criminal justice system, restorative justice, the causes of crime and delinquency. And the last half of the training sessions are focused on how to actually perform the 6 youth court roles in Colonie.
Well, Kaizad, what would you like to share with us as you move forward into your final year? From what I understand, upon graduating from high school, you can no longer be a member of the youth court. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Okay.
Sadly, it is.
So you're in your final year as you approach, and what types of things would you like to accomplish this year and then leave as obviously a 4-year leader in this program to the students that follow you?
Well, I want them to understand how significant what they're doing really is. I mean, we are helping ourselves become better. And if they understand that, then they'll know that they're making a difference.
Well, we certainly look forward to your involvement this year. And what are your plans for after Shaker High School?
Well, I plan to attend college. Right now I'm just looking, but whatever comes my way. And then I definitely want to go to graduate school for something law related. You know, law is so wide, so big, that once something hits me, I know I'll find the passion and just love it.
Well, I'm sure that the legal system will benefit by your involvement.
Thank you.
Violet, any closing comments in connection with our youth court or concerning the history of the youth court and anything that you'd like to share with the citizens?
Sure. Well, I could share really on a national level. Our program started back in 1994, so we've been around for quite some time now. And back in 1994, there were only 75 programs in the country. And to date now, there's over 1,200 programs in the country. So the youth court concept has really skyrocketed, especially in the late 90s. And the Colonie program does serve as a model program. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to explain a little bit about the community service portion of the program, too.
Oh, we would be delighted to hear that.
Okay, well, Kaizad actually explained the court process. And once our jury deliberates about 10-15 minutes per case, they come back and announce a verdict of a number of hours that the young person will receive. And our young person that will be going through the program is expected to perform community service twice a week. We have an educational process where we provide a 2-hour class on a weekday night. And we also have a 5-hour community service project for every Saturday as well. So in a given week, it's up to 7 hours that they can perform for community service, and it's very constructive. Each week is a different project and a different location. We help out a variety of agencies within the town of Colonie, to include the food bank. We've adopted parks and cemeteries in the town. We've also helped out a variety of programs with Special Olympics or American Cancer Society. We help out at the high schools and so forth. So every week is something different and constructive. And on Tuesday nights, we provide an educational class. And a lot of times our juries will tailor the class to the crime. So if, for example, if somebody committed a petty larceny case, a lot of times our juries will recommend a shoplifting prevention class. Or if they were caught with marijuana, they will be assigned to some type of drug rehabilitation class with drug testing as well. So our juries have the room to be very creative amongst their sentence. And as Kaizad mentioned, the very last 2 hours is saved for the jury duty component. So our offenders really go full circle. They finish out on the positive side of the system as they leave the program rather than the negative side when they first entered the program.
Do you find that some of the activity and the requirements of the students who are involved in the program include coming in to see the justice court in action?
Yes, they do. Actually,
Tell me about that.
Yes, actually, we do have. There is a time of year where we have our defendants come in, and rather than providing them the educational class at the Youth Bureau, we have them come into the Justice Court. And with both courtrooms running, we have the young people sit up on the judges next to the bench, and they actually get to hear and view all the different criminal and traffic cases that come into the court twice a week on Mondays and Wednesday nights. So it's definitely an eye-opening experience for them to see all the kinds of cases that come in, especially the jail cases, because these young people are committing misdemeanors and violations, and by law they can be punishable to a term of jail time. So it's definitely eye-opening to see that they're provided with a really great alternative to the traditional system, and they, at the same time, they see what could happen to them if youth court was not an option for them.
Well, there's no question that anyone who's been assigned to observe the court system in action here in Colonie will note the number of felony arraignments, handling of misdemeanor charges, and violations of law as well. It's certainly a great place for students to see a court in action, because with the volume that we have here in our town justice court, I believe it provides a great platform for learning, and not just for the students that are involved, but for all of us in the Colonie community. I want to thank you both very much for joining me today in discussing the Colonie Youth Court, which is certainly a model program internationally, and we certainly look forward to more activity from the Youth Court, and we're certainly happy that you, Kaizad, will be participating once again and sharing your 3 years of background with these new students coming on who are very much interested in the Youth Court program. And I'm very much pleased that you've joined me today. I'm Judge Peter Crummey, and thank you for joining me on Benchmark.